Our first lecture is on the research method. And whether you're doing research in business or in any other field, the importance is that there's a method. But before we get into the method, let's rewind a bit and go into the definition of research. When you look up the definition of research, you'll see patterns. One of the things that you'll see is it's about investigations and it's about systems. So there's no point in doing research if you don't have a method. So that's why we're going to start there. And there's no point doing it if you're not interested in studying something, learning something new, or discovering something new. The method starts with the plan. What is your topic? What's your study? Why are you doing it? After you pick and develop your topic, the next step is to collect and prepare the data, and then analyze and interpret the data that you've collected, and then prepare a report of some kind. And we'll go into a lot more detail on each of these steps, but let's start with planning. In research planning, you're kicking off your investigation. You're kicking off your search for new information, new conclusions. So what starts any kind of research is asking a question, asking a really good investigative question. As you think about what kind of research you're interested in doing, you have a few options. So one of your options is about the data. What kind of data are you really interested in collecting? Now there's qualitative and quantitative data. Most people understand the basic difference. Qualitative data is words, objects, pictures, etc. Quantitative data, numbers. So if you're more comfortable with or more interested in an in-depth understanding of human behavior and rationale behind certain behaviors, maybe qualitative research is where you may be more comfortable. On the other extreme, if you're interested in counting features and looking for patterns and explaining what you've seen and categorizing, that's more of quantitative behavior, quantitative data. I'll give you an example. Perhaps you want to look at, I had a student once interested in hairdos and student hairdos. Now, a qualitative project, why do you get your hair done? How do you feel when you get your hair done? How did you feel when you cut all your hair off? How did you feel when you got extensions? That's an in-depth understanding of getting your hair done and different hairstyles. On the other side, quantitative, I could ask, how many times do you go get it done? How long do you wait? How often have you changed your hairstyle? Where I get very brief, short responses. So there isn't as much depth, but I'm able to develop and categorize and count and classify a little more easily with the quantitative data. So you can take the same study and attack it in two different ways just based on these two options here. Some other options that you have are what you are going to do with the data. You have a lot of options here as well, but typically what's done is describing, explaining, comparing, correlating. Given the interest of the scope of the class and the time scale, we don't really have enough time to get into predictions and controls. And I think everyone to a certain extent will do some kind of categorizing. But you do have options. Every project will not have to do some correlation, but you may just want to stick at describing. So you have a lot of options, but this is where you start to think about, what do I really want to do in my project? So now that you have thought about some of your options, let's actually go ahead and pick the topic. So if you remember, The final project is a research presentation that spans the length of the course. It starts right now. What topic do you want to do? Now, research starts by asking a really good question. So maybe you have a burning topic already in your mind. Maybe you cover something at work that you're interested in, or maybe not. Maybe you have to look at some articles or books or news outlets or something and find some good ideas. Maybe you'll reflect on conversations that you've had or something you saw on the news. But it all starts with asking a question. I wonder why that happened. I wonder where this happens. I wonder why people do that. As you're thinking about all the topics, one of the things that we will get into, and one of the things that comes up often in research is, why is that a good topic? Does it make sense? Is it valid? Are your resources credible? Did you pick it for a personal reason, an academic reason? Did you just pick it because it's interesting? So you are responsible for backing up your topic, not just picking one. So now that you've selected your topic, let's talk about how to develop the topic. In the future, we'll talk about how to collect the data and how to do the analysis. But for now, let's look at what other people have done. So one of the good ways to support your topic is to see, well, what have other people done with this kind of topic? What qualitative studies have been done? What quantitative studies have been done? What kind of information were they looking at? What did they find out? And what are other techniques that are used in these other studies? What are people doing with this topic? And what value will I add to covering this topic right now?